What's up, guys? This is Ty Zen from prisonerfreedom.com. I'm here today at the Dallas Satoshi Square meetup. And in the next few minutes, we're going to be addressing some of do a Q&A about Next and the Next network.
It's famous.
You ready to talk about Next, Maximus? Huh? What do you think about Next? Good. Thumbs up? Yeah! Right? Okay.
He loves it.
So Next is a second generation cryptocurrency. It's the first one that claims to be a second generation. A first generation altcoin is anything that somebody takes the source code, the software from Bitcoin and copies it, and all they do is just change the parameters. So instead of having each block being completed in 10 minutes, they'll change it to 2 minutes or something like that, like with Litecoin. And then there's, whatever they didn't like about Bitcoin, they just change the parameters. But it's still the Bitcoin source code. So when you download the software to create your own account, these first generation altcoins all look like Bitcoin. And matter of fact, they just wait and
miners can mine them with the same hardware.
Yeah, so a lot of people like it because you can use the same hardware that you use to mine Bitcoins with and switch it over and mine these altcoins. So like Litecoin, Litecoin is using a script miner, so you can't use the same hardware.
It's either SHA or script, right?
Yeah, like Dogecoin is very popular because you can get a bunch of coins when you mine it, and you can use the same computers that you formerly used to mine Bitcoins with. So people who like to mine to get their coins, they love the first generation altcoins because they're just a knockoff of Bitcoin. So Nextcoin is not a knockoff. It takes the only thing that it copied from Bitcoin is the idea of the blockchain and the decentralized blockchain and the public ledger. Everything else about Next is completely different. And when we say it's different, what are we talking about that's different? All the features that they did not build into Next, when the inventor of Next, all the features that were not built into Bitcoin from the very beginning, they built that into Next from the very beginning. So right off the bat, it has all the features that you need. Like, for example, like the asset exchange, the colored coins, the name coins, all those. They colored coins, for some of you guys that don't know it, name coins. That's where if you have like a website, like for example, like my website is prisonerfreedom.com. So instead of sending, like if you want to send me a donation, instead of sending it to a long string of numbers, right, that you can't remember, colored coins or name coins allows you to replace that with the name of my website. So that you can just, if you want to send a donation, you can just send directly to prisonerfreedom.com and instead of sending it to a long string of numbers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's it. Also eliminates in Bitcoin they have what's called mining, and mining serves three purposes. It's designed to secure the network, process Bitcoin transactions, and number three, mint new coins. So in Next there is no mining. The reason why is because it doesn't do all those three things. It only does two of them. It only processes the next coin transactions, and it only secures the network. It does not mint new coins. There's 1 billion coins that's going to be created, or it has been created as soon as Next was into the market, and those 1 billion coins are going to be circulated around the world. And the way that it was circulated was that the inventor of Next, his name is BC Next on Bitcoin Talk. And what he did was he put out a notice, right, saying that, hey, I'm going to create this really new second generation altcoin that's not dependent on the Bitcoin source code. And if you want to participate on it, I'm doing a fundraising similar to what Ethereum is doing right now. They're trying to raise like $30 million, right? Next first came out. They just, the inventor of BC Next just wanted to raise 21 Bitcoins. So he said, hey, if you're willing to send, some Bitcoins to me, you will get your
percentage of that.
Yeah, your percentage or your proportion of the 1 billion Next coins. which is the currency that's used inside the NEX network. Okay, so first of all, keep in mind that NEX is not just a currency, right? The coins that are going through the network is called NEX coin, but NEX itself is a network, it's a system, it's a protocol for doing business. All right, it was designed so that people can use it for business and use it to transfer and transact all their financial transactions in business, and for civilian and non-commercial use too. But it was developed so that it was for commercial use, because we know that because when BC Next created it, he wanted to create it so that it can process 1,000 transactions in a second or a minute, something like that. So that's what, like, similar to what the credit cards transactions are doing right now. So
yeah, if you're mining, you're in proof of work. So if you go into, you guys are working proof of stake. So what is the advantage? Because I hear it's maybe not as...
Okay, so mining in Bitcoin is a process that they call proof of work, where everybody, let's say that everybody in this room right now were to process, just to make it simple, is non-technical. So if everybody wanted to make it so everybody gets to process, volunteer their computer to process the Bitcoin transactions, right? But if everybody in this room right now, we have a bunch of people in the room, if everybody processes the transaction and submits it, how do we know which one is correct? So imagine each one of us had to volunteer all our computers, each of our computers, to process the last 10 minutes worth of Bitcoin transactions. And we all do that, and we all get it correct, and we submit it to the network so that everybody can accept it, right? How does the network, how does the rest of the public know that that is the correct one? How do we know if your block of information is correct, or his block or her block is correct? So they have what's called a proof of work, right? Whoever puts in the most effort and the most work to figure out that next block is the one that the community will accept. So it's not the one that gets it done, you know, not only do you have to get it done the fastest, but you have to get it done the hardest way. And how do they make that hard for you to figure out? So once you compile all the 10 minutes of last 10 minutes worth of transactions, you have to encrypt it. And you have to create a hash of it. And that hash, right, has to, the final answer has to have like 13 or 16 zeros in front of it. I forget which one it is. But there's a whole bunch of zeros in front of it. So that means that you have to run through billions of computations, because you have to guess, you know, what number will come up with that, a string of numbers that has a bunch of zeros in the front. So by doing that proof of work, right, that lets the network know that you put in a lot of effort to get that. Yeah. You can call it a receipt, but it shows that you were not trying to just game the system, that you were actually trying to compute the next block of information. And once that block of information gets accepted, right, whoever's computer puts in the most work to process those 10 minutes worth of transaction, their block gets accepted into the network. Now, occasionally you will have a situation where two computers will process the same block at the same time, and the only tiebreaker is whoever puts in more work. So if both of you guys came up with the next block in the Bitcoin blockchain to be added to the public ledger or to the blockchain, the system, the network will automatically compute, okay, who put in more work to do it? You did? Okay, we'll accept yours. So that there's never a time when there's multiple blocks coming in at the same time, and the community doesn't know which one is the correct block, right? So now in the NEX, they don't have mining, they don't have a proof of work system like that. They have what's called proof of stake. So in Bitcoin, whoever has more gigahashes is the one that's more likely, because every time, every gigahash that you have, consider it like a lottery ticket. So imagine, you know, if you only have one lottery ticket, and she over there has 1,000 lottery ticket, and he has 1,000,000 lottery tickets, well, who has the better chance of winning? He does, right? The one with the 1,000,000 lottery tickets. So the one with the 1,000,000 gigahashes is going to have a better chance of finding the next block of information versus the one that only has, you know, 1,000, or versus the one that only has one lottery ticket. But does that mean that it's guaranteed just because he has 1,000,000 lottery tickets that he's going to win the lottery? No, it just gives him a higher probability. There's no guarantee, because you with one lottery ticket can also get that hit the lottery, right? But the chances are a lot smaller. So in Bitcoin, the more gigahashes you have, the higher the probability that you'll figure out what the next block of information is. Whereas that's called proof of work. In Next, they don't use a proof of work. They use what's called a proof of stake. Stake meaning how many coins do you own out of those billion coins. So if you own one coin and she owns 1,000 coins and he owns 1,000,000 coins of Next coins, then he has a higher probability of figuring out what the next block of information is versus the you over there with 1,000 Next coins and you with just one Next coin. So can you guys see the difference? Now, a lot of people complain that Next coin or Next is pre-mined.
Yeah.
Meaning that, hey, you know, the owner or the inventors of Next already printed out, already minted 1 billion coins, and it's not fair because then all these people, the 73 people that's sent in those 21 Next coins, they got the bulk of the share. Well, my answer to that, my response to that is this, is that, you know, the announcement was there.
Right.
You know, I missed that opportunity. I'm not one of the original 73 stakeholders. That's what they're called. There's 73 of them. They all took a chance and they all took the risk because they didn't know who this guy BC Next was. He was anonymous, and out of nowhere, he just claimed that he was going to create a second generation altcoin with a complete new source code, which is not easy to do. And it's in Java. It's not in the languages that the other people expect it to be in. So there was a lot of risk involved, and 73 people were willing to send in their Bitcoins at a time when it was worth over $1,000, right? So when he received those 21 Bitcoins, he said, you know, on January 3rd, I will release the source code. And he had like a beta, like a test version already in December of last year.
Do you know what the market cap of Next coin is now?
The market cap, I think, I'm not sure, but you can check on Bitcoin market cap real quick if somebody can check on that.
So then, okay, going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Then, so I'm just going to get into I'm going to buy like 200 Next, or I'm going to go in and buy some Next. Well,
so right now it's worth about 5,000 and like 5,300 Satoshis per Next coin.
Right. So the question is then what like, so for me to even get into Next or to feel like I'm going to be able to be involved in the community means you have to buy in big enough to have enough stake to make it.
Well, see, here's the thing. When it's not just.
You want to get in your cart. I think he wants to get in his cart. He keeps pointing.
It's not just. You guys got to keep in mind that when you invest in any cryptocurrency, if you're not a technical person, meaning that you don't know how to computer code, you don't know how to read the source code or do any of that, or you're not a technologically savvy person, you should not focus on mining a coin, because that is the task of a professional. For example, when you guys go and fly a Boeing 747 or something, you don't go out there and look out the window and say, you know what, I want to be able to build this airplane. No, you don't. Like when you drive a car, you don't look at the car and go, hey, I want to design this car. You just go in there and you just want to know how to start the engine, where the brakes are at. So when you go and use any of these cryptocurrencies, your goal should not be to go and, hey, I want to mine this coin, or I want to mint new coins, or I want to do that. That's not your job. That's not your task. I mean, like, if you go and use the US dollar right now, you don't ever think of, hey, you know what, I want to go, print some more US dollars. So why would you go into Bitcoin or Dogecoin or any of these coins and say, hey, I want to go in there and mint them? And the mining, it's called mining in Bitcoin, but in Nextcoin or in Next, it's called forging, because it doesn't mint new coins. All it does is process the Nextcoin transactions, and it just secures the network. Right?
So who's doing that if they're not rewarded for it?
You get rewarded for the transaction fees, just like in Bitcoin. So in Bitcoin, you get rewarded by the transaction fees for volunteering your computer to secure the network. Right? In Bitcoin, you get paid a reward, and the same thing goes for Next, except it's not for a. That's too sharp for it.
It's like how Bitcoin will be in 2040.
Yeah. 2140?
I've heard both. I think it's 2040. Someone told me 2140, but I looked it up. It's 2040.
Yeah, regardless. The thing is that regardless if it's Bitcoin or Dogecoin or Next, right? That should be left to the people who are experts in that field, right? If you do not have to go in there and forge Next in order to become a part of the community. It's just like anything else. Once you purchase a Next coin, then you are part of the community.
So who's forging it? People that own Next coins that have to forge it?
Yeah. The people who own it, but there's always thousands of people that's going to volunteer their computer.
But if you don't own it, or if you do own it, you don't have to forge it?
No, you don't. And when you own it, to make sure that people are not incentivized to forge Next, in other words, they don't want people to just see it. So what happens is a lot of these altcoins, there's hundreds of them out there, and there's people that have massive computers, and all they do is they run to a new altcoin, they'll mine the hell out of it when the rewards are very high, and then as soon as that reward period is over and they make all their money, they drop it and go to another altcoin. So what that does is it's very detrimental to a coin because all that computing power goes in to secure the network in the first few weeks, but then after that, there's no computers left. So in the Next, what they want to do is they want to make sure that if you're coming to Next, it's because you're serious about it and you want the network to grow. So the people that volunteer their computers to process and forge the Next network, they're there for a reason. So like when I go in there and I have like I don't know, 50, 60,000 Next coins in my account. So whenever I have time or when I'm not using my computer, I leave it on so they can forge, they can help process the transactions, you know. But I'm not doing it so that I can acquire more Next coins. You never make money mining or forging in any coin. The only people that make money from it are the people who are specialized in it. They know it. They don't have to pay somebody else to manufacture the hardware for them. They know how to do it themselves, and they can manufacture the hardware themselves, and they mine it themselves, and they got cheap electricity. So if you're not a technical person, you cannot build the hardware yourself, and you don't have access to cheap electricity, then you're wasting your time.
Well, okay, that's all fine, but what the thing is that people are not going to be motivated to do things because they have necessarily some strong allegiance to something. It's business.
Yeah.
The reason that those people pull out of mining those things are business reasons. They had a better option over here, and they went to it, whatever that option was, or at least the perception of a better option.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree. That's the reason why those altcoins crash and burn. They'll skyrocket 50 or 100% in 1 week or two, and then they crash and burn, and you never hear about them no more. The reason why Next is still around was because they anticipated that problem.
Right.
They anticipated that if everybody just crowds in and starts forging the Next coins, and then a week or two later all disappear, right? Well, then they were never there to grow the network. And Next invites people to come and grow the network. And another thing too is that just so you guys know, I don't know if have you ever guys seen a Bitcoin mining operation? Like go into one and see it live?
Well, let's go.
Okay,
Can we go
it's
see
not
your
something
friends?
that you just flip the switch on and it just runs 24 hours. It needs maintenance. All the miners, they need maintenance. Like you got to monitor it, make sure the temperature is correct, make sure that the output is correct, make sure it's even running, make sure that it's communicating to the network. So it's not something that people think that mining, you just flip the computer on and you just leave it there and it prints money. That's not how it works. You actually have to have IT people in the background managing it.
Those ASICs are pretty easy to run. I had one for a while. Those ASICs you just flip on and there's nothing to do. I had two for a while.
Okay, how many gigahashes do you have?
I had like 170.
Okay, we're talking about terahashes, petahashes. Okay, we're not talking about like 100 megahashes or anything like that. We're talking about large-scale mining operations. Right now, that's what you would need. A few hundred megahashes or gigahashes. That's not even going to cut it. Right? They realized, the inventor of Next realized that whoever had the technical know-how and the money had the advantage in Bitcoin mining. So in Next, to eliminate that issue, because now all the mining is centralized. Only a few companies do all the mining for Bitcoin, and that was something that Satoshi Nakamoto, the inventor of Bitcoin, did not anticipate. Because originally he anticipated that people would use their computers to process all the Bitcoin transactions, right? So to eliminate that problem, BC Next created a forging system that allowed people to process the Next transactions and secure the network just using your regular computers. right? So does that help answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It's just that then it's for my okay. Next question off that is then what is
next question about next?
Next question about, so what is the advantage then if I'm not going to be a forger, and what is my advantage to get into next, like buy into next at this point? Why would I want to buy into next?
The same reason you would for Bitcoin. Like, do you mine Bitcoins right now?
I have my one set up through Bitminter on my computer for a little bit. You know, I'd like to forge, even though you say it's not. I'm ready for the one click that allows me wallet client. That
my question is this: how long have you been mining Bitcoins, and what's the reward?
And it was just fun and not a lot.
Okay, yeah. I have like the mining they have like hundreds, thousands of gigahash. And
mine's just, it was fun.
Thousands and thousands of gigahashes, and they're only getting like half a Bitcoin a day.
Right, because that's a fraction. It's
just a fraction, and they're in a huge pool.
Right.
If you add up the whole pool in CG Miner, the pool that they belong to, it's a huge pool. So here's the thing.
Wait a minute. What would happen if those Bitcoins were worth $1 million a piece? It'd be very profitable business.
Yeah.
But it would attract a lot of...
It would see, here's the thing. If you say that if it's worth $1 million of Bitcoin, what happens is the current companies that are mining them right now will add more hardware and jack up the increase and raise the level of difficulty. So it's prohibitive. See, here's the thing, guys, that when you guys get into Bitcoin or Next or anything, you want to know what you can do and what you cannot do. Okay, so right now mining is, like I said, it's out of the league. You know, I can afford a $5,000-$10,000 miner with no problem. The reason why I don't buy it and I don't invest into it is because that's not where the money is at. The money is where is if you just buy the coin. One, you buy the coin and you hold it, or you create a product that you can sell for Next, right? Or you can create a service that you can charge somebody Next for it or Bitcoins for it. So the product of the service, or building a business, or building stuff, hardware or software that people need. Like these guys are saying, hey, we want an anonymous wallet, right? So that people don't know, so we can be 100% anonymous when we use cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Next or anything like that. If you create that software or that app, right? Like right now, we need apps for iPhones and Android phones. So if you go out there and you create that app, you have a better chance of making money off of that than you will sitting there wasting time forging. Okay, because I looked at the accounts of some of these original stakeholders that have like 50 million Next, and since January they probably forged about 60 or 70 coins, 100 coins. That's not worth it. And it's the same thing with Bitcoin. It's not just like that, because forging Next and mining Bitcoins was not intended to make money. It was intended to process transactions and secure the network. All right, the money is made in the transaction fees or making a product or service that people want. So whenever you say that, hey, what is my incentive to get into Next? It's the same incentive that you would get into Dogecoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin, or any other coin, because you feel that the technology has a potential to change and better the business world and finance.
It has to make business sense.
Yeah.
And on day one, when there was only one computer and they needed two, there had to be an incentive to do it, and that incentive was the reward.
Yeah.
And the wisdom of that is that the reward has to be there at the beginning. Later on, when it's an established currency, then a transaction fee makes really good sense. But if you start with transaction fees, Next will be a good case to prove this wrong. My belief is that if you don't start that way, you probably won't attract enough to make it actually a common.
Well, that's not just for Next. Right now, the biggest advantage that Next has is that it has come out with a asset exchange, and they're working on an asset exchange to resolve the problem with Mt. Gox. We have the biggest weakness right now in any cryptocurrency is that we have a centralized exchange, right? So what Next is attempting to do, and Next is not the only one, but they're the ones that are way ahead of everybody else, is that they're creating an asset exchange so that you can exchange one product or service or one value of one thing for another, right? So they're trying to replace Mt. Gox with a decentralized exchange, and they have the testnet out right now. If you go to the Next community,
You already replaced Mt. Gox with 100 other exchanges around the world.
no, but it's not. But they're all centralized exchanges. They're not decentralized exchanges.
Well, the fact that there's so many of them, and the more
They're
that there
decentralized.
There's a huge difference between decentralization and a centralized exchange. A decentralized exchange cannot be taken down, and there's no.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a
That's what we
peer-to-peer.
need.
Yeah.
And that's what we desperately need, and that's what Next is trying to bring to the table, is that it's trying to resolve a huge business problem that everybody has, right?
Yeah, I have trouble.
So that's what is going to
I guess you
allow.
could have like a blockchain exchange where you post to the blockchain a bid or something.
Well, if you guys are interested, you can just go to Bitcoin. You can go to Next Forum or nextcoin.org and just search for the asset exchange, and then
When you say asset, what assets are they talking about?
they're testing it. It's very, if you look at it, it's very similar to Craigslist and the stock market combined. Like on one side, like you can go there, you can go in there and list, like you have, let's say that you have a song that you just created, and you want to put that up for sale for let's say 10 Next. For 10 Next coins. Next coins is the currency that's used inside the Next network, right? So let's say you put up your song that you want to sell it for 10 Next coins, and he wants it, but he's bidding, like he said that he'll only give you 9 Next coins for it. So it's set up so that once you guys agree on it, that in the background it does it for you. So now don't ask me how the technicals of how it works, because I'm not a programmer and I'm not a technical person. But you can go in there and see it for yourself. Like you can go in there, and it's like the way it's listed is like Craigslist. It'll say this is for sale, this is for sale, and over here it'll say that people want, I want this, I want this. Like there's a wanted and a for sale in there, and they have it as a bid and an offer, and you can bid on it. So like let's say that you come out with a new song or something, or I'll just use somebody's example. Let's say Jay-Z comes out with a new song, right? And he wants to distribute that song out to the market and to test to see what the value of that song is, right? What he can do is he can go use the Next network and the Next asset exchange and list his song on there and say, hey, this is my new song that I'm releasing, and I'm offering it for 100 Next, right? And then he can see what the market is willing to give him for it, and then he can raise the price or lower it and adjust it to what the market. It's a true free market system. See now,
like eBay almost.
huh? Yeah, it's just like eBay. It's no different than eBay. The only difference is this: it's that it's using algorithms, right? Computer algorithms to make the transaction
So you
instead
can
of
make
humans.
a set of rules, and then if they're met, then the
Yeah,
transaction
exactly.
is activated.
Exactly. So hey, if you meet this criteria, if you deliver the products and blah 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 blah, then the funds get transferred. If it doesn't happen, then the funds do not get transferred. I invite you guys to go to the Next community and just test it out.
When you say Next, is that NEX?
Yeah, it's spelled NXT.
Without the E.
Yeah. Now that was something I wish they would have never done. Confusion doesn't help adoption.
But you don't know.
You call it Next, but you spell it NXT. Well, keep in mind that BC Next and all the guys that are the core developers, they're not from the U.S. So English is not their native language. So we have to excuse them for that. They're in Europe or some communist country somewhere, and they're remaining anonymous because it could be a problem to their security or their safety if they reveal who they are. So
I think it's interesting. I think it has a place for contracts. I understand.
Yeah.
You can do smart contracts on it. You can do pretty much what Ethereum is saying that they're going to do.
yeah, pretty much anything that Ethereum is claiming to do, right? Next has already a working system that they're testing right now. So in software, the key is what they call speed of implementation. Is you can talk about it, but how fast can you get it done? And if you watch the interview that I did with Vitalik from Ethereum, I asked him what's the difference between Next and Ethereum, and besides the scripting language. And one of the things that he said was that Next does have an advantage because At least that's my
Yeah,
interpretation
I mean,
anyway.
that's like getting a smart property.
That Next has an
All those
advantage because it has a head
smart
start.
contracts that can be activated automatically.
You know, and one of my other buddies, Leon, that was in the guy behind the camera, he even asked Vitalik, hey, I work in software development. You guys can talk about this, but when is the expected timeline to get the software developed?
Right.
So that's something Ethereum has very out of all the altcoins so far. I would say that from a sales and marketing perspective, they have the strongest marketing team right now, and they're the strongest organization.
Right.
And that's something that I believe that Next lacks.
Very much.
So because the creators and the core developers are all anonymous, it's not like
Easy to do.
there's not a clear cut leader of what direction or what the community should do. Whereas, like in Bitcoin, when Bitcoin first came out, there was Satoshi. He was the core developer, and there's a bunch of guys helping him. But he made the ultimate decisions on what direction Bitcoin should go. Like, for example, Ethereum is trying to put the scripting, the Turing complete scripting language, and build its own currency. When Bitcoin was first created, Satoshi knew that you can to do that. But he chose not to for security reasons.
Right.
And he wanted to make sure that the foundation and the network was set before something like that. That was just way too much work and too much confusion for everyone. So he wanted everybody's time and resources to be dedicated towards the security of the network, much more so than a bunch of features on it. So that's one advantage that Ethereum does have over any other altcoin. Is that they do have a better marketing, and they have a couple of they have two guys from Goldman Sachs working for them. One is a computer programmer or a cryptographer, and then the other one is a hedge fund manager. And you're not going to be a dummy and be a hedge fund manager at Goldman Sachs. So if they have him on the team, they have a huge advantage over everyone else simply because they have the right leadership.
I mean, I think it's an altcoin that's worth, or whatever you want to call it, another 2.0, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's worth investing in and holding some, and I have. So.
They were the first ones to coin the term second generation altcoin and altcoin 2.0 or cryptocurrency 2.0, and a bunch of people have copied it since then, but they were like the first ones to claim that.
One thing I'm seeing is that they're not, like you said, they don't have enough, speaking of ambassadors for it that are, like the guy that was on Coin Summit, like he just didn't come across like what the opportunities when you are in public. You guys got to get a little bit more organized to make it be much more presentable. The thing is that what was it
that you did not like about it?
I don't think he was as articulate as you even, right? Okay, so he was fumbling and thinking for his words. Like if you see the guy right next to him, who's the Vid Angels guy, he's on it. Like he was smooth, energetic. Like you got to have that. The second thing is, in my opinion, about Next is that I know the decentralized asset exchange is huge, but the other aspects about Next that are fascinating is the decentralization that isn't really being highlighted. So, like you're talking about confusion, there's so much confusion around Next. I've even asked on Quora people who've given these long, in forum on Quora. Tell us about Ethereum, and then I've asked a question, well, what's the difference in Next and Ethereum? Because I think they're about the same, and nobody knows.
Okay, so just so you know, despite what everybody says about Next or about any cryptocurrency, right? They are all attempting to do the same thing, like smart contracts, decentralized autonomous organizations, all these features like a DNS system, so that they all are trying to do it. So there's not any altcoins that's not trying to do it.
Okay.
You have some altcoins that's doing that on top of the Bitcoin blockchain. And then you have some altcoins that decide to do it on their separate blockchains. Okay? But these features that all of them are talking about, they're all trying to accomplish the same features. Okay?
I see why you're been emphasizing the asset exchange.
Yeah, the asset exchange, Mastercoin is building one also. So Next is not the only one, but it's who is going to get it done first.
Right.
and who's going to get
With them
mainstream
would just be
adoption of it.
I think, and next was, I mean, one thing is like open transactions. Is that, you know, master point of open
Yeah.
transaction marriage
Yeah.
would be kind of part of that. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, thanks guys for joining me and Maximus here at the Dallas Satoshi Square meetup today. And
Yay.
for you listening out there, BC Next, I know you're watching this video and come from beyond, and Gene Luke, you know, thanks for y'all's work and keep it up. And my son Maximus here is giving you guys a thumbs up on it, okay? Once you guys get the asset exchange working and working well, and Ian Knowles making it work, then you will get 2 thumbs up from the mighty Maximus.
That's awesome.
Yeah.